Okay, next we're going to do three problems that deal with the Pythagorean theorem. So I've said before, I always want you to write down a squared plus b squared equals c squared, representing the sum of the squares of the two legs equals the square of the hypotenuse. The value that you want to make sure you get stated correctly is the hypotenuse. So I suggest you always start with that. The hypotenuse is opposite the right angle, so we're going to plug that value in first. And we're going to say the hypotenuse here is 15. So we have something equals 15 squared. The other two values are going to be the two legs. It doesn't matter which order they are referred to as A and B. So sometimes you're going to have an equation that has x on the right hand side of this equation. Sometimes, like now, you're going to have x is on the left hand side of the equation. So simplifying, we have 81, 9 times 9, plus x squared equals 15 times 15 is 225. We're going to subtract 81 from each side of the equation, and that gives us x squared equals 144. And you always do the opposite to solve for x, so the opposite of squaring something is to take the square root. So we'll take the square root of x squared, which is always going to be x as far as we're concerned, because we're only dealing with positive numbers. And the square root of 144, you can use your calculator if necessary, but the square root of 144 is equal to 12. So the answer is 12. And you can always check your answer. 9 squared plus 12 squared does equal 15 squared. On the next problem, we want to solve for x here, and we say a squared plus b squared. I'm just going to get rid of some of this at the top. And we're going to say a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We want to identify the hypotenuse this time as being x. So therefore, we have 9 squared plus 10 squared equals x squared. So we have 81, 9 times 9, plus 10 times 10 is 100. So 81 plus 100 is equal to 181. That equals x squared. So we take the square root of each side. And 181 is not a perfect square. So for now, we're going to state an approximation. Later on, we'll state the answer in simplified radical form. But for right now, just an approximation. So we're going to go over and use a calculator. And we want to state the square root of 181. So we enter the radicand. We have to close the parentheses on this calculator. So we have this reads as the square root of 181 equals 13.4536245, and there are more digits after that, but that's what the calculator is rounding off to right now. I always want you to round off your answers, for now anyways, to the nearest tenth. So to round off to the nearest tenth, you look at the hundredths column. In the hundredths column, where the 5 is located, the first of the 5s, and if it's 5 or above, you're going to round up to the next value in the tenths column. So in this case, 13.45 anything is going to round up to be 13.5. So we'll go back and enter that, and we get 13.5 for that answer. For the next problem, we're still going to use the Pythagorean theorem. When you draw a diagonal for a square, you have two right triangles, and in particular, we'll look at triangle ABC, where B is the vertex of the right angle. Segment AC is given as equaling 10, and because it's a square, if we're looking for the distance from A to D, if that's x, they're all x's. So you can look at either of the two right triangles that you want. You can either look at this red triangle, or you could look at, say, this purple triangle. Doesn't matter which one. Technically it said to find the distance from A to D, so why don't we look at the purple triangle. So we'll get rid of this other one. Looking at that triangle, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The hypotenuse is the 10, So we have 10 squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. In other words, x squared plus x squared equals 10 squared. So we're going to simplify. 1x squared plus another 1x squared equals 2x squared. And that equals 10 times 10, which is 100. So to get rid of the 2 out in front, the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. So I'll divide each side of the equation by 2, and just going down to the bottom, that gives us x squared, because the 2's cancel on the left, equals 100 divided by 2 is 50. So we need the square root of 50 for the answer. The square root of x squared is x. Square root of 50 is our answer. Square root of 50 is equal to approximately 7.1. The 7.07 rounds up to be 7.1. So that is our answer. Accurate to the nearest tenth. Hope this helps for the exam. Good luck.